Hello and Happy New Year. Welcome to the Cause Effect 4.0 podcast. I'm your host, Selena Lee. Today's episode is about artificial intelligence that is built close to the problems it is meant to solve, not in distant labs or abstract models, but in communities across Africa, where data reflects real lives, real systems, and real constraints. My guest is Delilah Gesicho, the community manager at Zindi, Africa's largest data science platform. From Nairobi, she works with thousands of African data scientists and AI engineers tackling challenges in healthcare, agriculture, and finance using local data sets. Her focus is simple yet demanding, making sure that AI developed for Africa is shaped by African context, collaboration, and responsibility. As AI systems spread rapidly across the world, who gets to decide what platforms AI should solve and whose data is used to train those systems? And if Africa builds its own AI using its own data, could that change not just the outcomes on the continent, but the global direction of AI itself? Welcome to the podcast, Delilah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for being here on our first podcast of the year. So you and I have worked for many years together. Recently, Zindi celebrated a huge milestone, which is that we passed 100,000 users on the platform. So you've been working with us, you've been growing the community, you've been managing a network of incredible ambassadors across the continent. So starting from there, because I think this is a big focus of your role at Zindi, is that you've grown the community of Zindi ambassadors from, I think, around 10, 15 ambassadors when you first started to now over 230 ambassadors. How is Zindi's ambassador program ensuring that AI solutions are truly being developed for the African communities? And what impact has this approach, particularly of community-driven development, how has it had an impact in terms of relevance and adoption of AI across the continent?
Amazing. Thank you, Selena. And first of all, congratulations to Zindi for attaining 100,000 users. And yeah, that is a quite great achievement. So speaking of the ambassador program, I have worked with amazing ambassadors across Africa, where the goal is to spread AI literacy across communities, across universities. And this is creating a lot of impact in Africa as a continent, because with the ambassadors being able to host events and create a space where people can come and learn these skills and even build the confidence to be able to maybe create solutions using AI or data science, that is itself pushing talent within the continent, and also being able to create awareness about local problems that we are facing in Africa and how we can be able to develop solutions that will impact Africa. That is how I see the ambassador program pushing for AI literacy and relevance within the ecosystem and the continent.
Yeah, maybe you can even take a step back and say a little bit about what is the ambassador program? Yeah, what do you do?
Okay, so we have ambassadors, like in the name. These are people who advocate for what the purpose and the cause we have at Zindi, which is building AI together. So with our ambassador program, we have over 230, even 250 plus ambassadors from different parts of Africa, from the north, south, east, and west of Africa. And what our ambassadors do is we work closely with them to bridge the gap where there's no relevant skill or skills that are required in the industry. So through Zindi, we are able to have them use competitions that we have on the platform to take them back to the community, where they can do hands-on solutions for the problems that Africa is facing. And with that, the community is able to gain literacy on data science and also build solutions for Africa. And with that, we bring the community together in Africa with the help of ambassadors. Yeah.
So I'm curious, and you can touch on maybe some of the other, community building efforts you've done before outside of Zindi even, but as you've worked in this space, what was the moment for you personally when you realized the power of community to achieve change and impact that maybe traditional models can't?
Okay, so I'll talk about my journey. I was one student who was scared to share my skills. I was very shy, and I had like this freeze when I was asked a technical question and I couldn't overcome it. So I didn't have that confidence. And my first experience was with the Women in Machine Learning community, where I got to approach Mudhoni and ask her if I can host some of the events within the community because I knew it was a gap I had. And within that community, I was able to present my solution and get feedback from the community without any judgment. I was able to just build my confidence and also help others break into the space of data science. So for me, the power of community just explains that it's a space where we can be able to build confidence, build our skills without feeling uncomfortable because everyone is learning and gain feedback. And I feel like traditional systems are more, let's go get a curriculum, give content, and you have to sit in class. You have questions, you're scared to ask the lecturer because other students will think you're maybe way behind. But in the communities where the environment, everyone is open to learning, everyone is open to growing, and you're seen to have more questions, is like an approach of you like hungry to learn and build your skills. So I think that's where the power of community comes in. And yeah, from then on, I've just been continuously pushing for everyone who's getting started in data science to be part of a community, and that's where you grow your skills and build your confidence.
I mean, you mentioned a little bit how, you felt intimidated when you were first starting and when you were a student. At Zindi, we do talk a lot about imposter syndrome, or we hear about it a lot. And I'm curious, like, what is your take on it? What is imposter syndrome? What's your take? And I mean, you've talked a little bit about the role community can play, but maybe, specifically, what are some of the lessons learned you've had about how we can create a more welcoming environment for people of all stages and then also of all identities, right? Especially, say, women in this space. Like, what are ways that we can concretely make?
So imposter syndrome is when you feel like a fraud, like the way you are saying I'm good at what I do, and then at the end of the day I'm like, is she okay? Like, is she actually saying the truth about what I do? Yeah, so that's imposter syndrome. It comes out when you are capable, but then within yourself it's not. You don't realize it, and that does affect a lot of people, as you mentioned, like women, because at the end of the day, I think there are challenges that are in between where sometimes we don't create spaces in our communities for underrepresented communities or people like women who are just starting out their careers. They have left, they have a family at home. That's what they are, used to doing, and that's what they major in, let's say. And then now they're getting into the field of data science and they feel like it's not a space for them. So I think one of the things or the challenges that we face is not being able to create spaces for women and representation of women. And also, even with the data sets that we use, sometimes you find that they are limited because we don't have like representation. So I think based on lessons learned from maybe my interaction in the community, for us to create a space where people can overcome imposter syndrome, it will be there, I think, more often because it never goes away, but it's more of how it can be managed. So more like creating these spaces, enabling women to feel like even these spaces for them, giving them like roles to take part in. I think for me, even an example of deep learning in Daba, I was given like a chair of the community role, and that gave me an opportunity to connect with other people, gave me the fact that I had maybe imposter syndrome about what I do. It gave me like an upper hand to show what I can actually do, and it gave me confidence. So these spaces are very important, giving women even leadership roles and creating like an even the solutions we are solving, just being able to incorporate these aspects and keeping them in mind when we are building them so that they do not impact various communities, is a way we can help conquer imposter syndrome or improve it.
So Zindi's grown now to the leading community, AI community in Africa. In 2026, what do you think makes African communities distinct from other communities in the US or in Europe? And why does this difference matter in how we are building solutions and yeah, and building community?
I think when I got into data science, the main thing that one of most instructors used to say, Africa has many problems, and these problems are not necessarily bad, but how we approach innovation is very different because we are not looking for like the fancy type of solutions that maybe might be out there, but we are looking to solve problems that impact people we live with. We see farmers struggling to have their crops maybe have yield so that their families can eat through the basic farming that they do, so these are the problems that Africans are trying to solve using data science, and that's why we see that it's a different type of innovation than what we see in the West, because our problems we are solving with context that we have and with an aim of helping people who are close to us and also bettering our lives and our communities. So that's why I would say that's the main difference that we might have.
Yeah, and I mean, something that I get excited about and I see in the Zindi community is even just the buy-in and kind of the commitment that a lot of people on the platform have to solving those problems because I mean, it's close to their heart and yeah, and they want to be a part of those solutions. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, you've mentioned now agriculture. Maybe I'm interested. I mean, you have your ear close to the ground. Being in Kenya and then talking to, the people across Africa who are part of Zindi. What are the sectors in Africa that you see the most potential for AI to transform and to have an impact? When you look at AI in Africa and you see, the things that are going on, what's inspiring you the most?
So I think, as you mentioned, agriculture is very key because we find that the sector in Africa is really big because that's mostly people's bread. Like, so agriculture has a really good potential. So we want to see farmers being able to see this is the best time to plant because of these characteristics, and just even helping them see how these solutions we are building is impacting them without building like these crazy models, but just a simple USSD can be able to tell them like this is the right time to, get to the farm. This is the right time to get your produce. This is the right market to target, some things like that that help at least the farmers be able to get some revenue from their produce. We also have healthcare. We have maternal health, where you see like we have very limited doctors, especially when you go to the rural side. Like, I could go home for the first time I went home and I could see there's mostly a pharmacy, and then the hospital is so far. So if we can get like AI solutions that help mothers not have to run to hospitals to get assistance, even with the midwives that currently exist, if they get like these devices that help them better be informed better of conditions for mothers that they can help them even at home, I feel like it will create a huge impact. And yeah, we have also climate, we have variety, and including cultural preservance like language. We see that the likes of Masakani are continuously building solutions that integrate our African languages so that they don't become extinct. So I feel like those are great opportunities and how we can leverage data science to help, or AI to help Africa as a continent.
Yeah, all of those sectors are super exciting spaces, I think. So we think a lot about the impact that Zindi can have and the way that I guess young data scientists and AI developers are breaking into this space. I'm wondering from your own personal experience working with people, like what kinds of patterns are you seeing or trends are you seeing in terms of what challenges they have? What are their goals? Where are they, what are the pathways that are available to them or, I guess barriers or challenges? How are people overcoming these? Like, what is the real experience, as a young person in Africa tries to break into this field?
Oh, okay. So for those people who are trying to break into this field, just talking from people who I have met within the industry, it's more of there's so much information coming in, and then you have to play catch up and you don't know where to get started. So we have a good problem of knowledge everywhere, but then now the problem is where can we target? Where can we not play catch up and actually create impact? So I see that as a challenge. And I like okay, the model of Zindi, not because I work at Zindi, but I love the model where you have challenges that you can experience different sectors and find where you can leverage a particular sector. Like I might have maybe done some I have a background maybe in agriculture, and I have challenges that are in agriculture, and I can see like how AI or data science can be used in different aspects of agriculture. So using the challenges on Zindi, I can be able to see where my skill set lie and focus on that niche without taking in too much content from healthcare and climate when my focus is in agriculture. So I see that as a challenge. And of course, we have the challenges that you see where funding or maybe for those developers who want to go into building their own startups, that has been a challenge for them, trying to see how they can utilize their skills to build something or a startup, but then they have limited ways on of getting like funding to prosper their businesses, or they're not generating like the revenue that they need, being an African startup. So those are some things that I've seen our AI engineers have been highlighting within the pathway. Yeah.
When someone, say, graduates from university, and has been exposed in some way to data science and wants to pursue their career, like, do you see them going into like the private sector? Do you see them starting their own startups? Do you see them uh, working, well, maybe working for a startup? Like, what are the main opportunities that are available to young people?
Okay. So when you leave university, the first thing you want to do is really get an internship so that you see how you can actualize your skills. So you find most people are trying to get maybe into the industry through getting to startups or even looking for big tech opportunities. But then there are those who have realized their solutions through participating in hackathons. So they want to build their own startups. So they join these accelerator programs where they're like, okay, we can actually get through this. Let's get into teams and sacrifice ourselves and actually build a startup out of this. And there are also those who are like, okay, let me transition into a master's degree and become a researcher because that's the path I want to look into. So there are various avenues that people get into. And yeah, most commonly, it's usually let's first get a job in a startup or an industry where we can see how we can use our skills and then grow from there.
So over the last few years, we've seen this total explosion of AI and just AI taking over everything, and transforming so many different sectors. And I'm wondering, how do you see the community responding to these, I guess, new opportunities? Are they opportunities? Like, how has the community responded? And are you satisfied with how the community has responded? Do you think there's more room for additional, I guess, growth or taking advantage of the opportunities that are presented by this AI revolution? And I guess on the flip side also, like, in terms of opportunities for them with startups, with the corporate companies, with the big tech companies, are you also satisfied with how the industry is responding to these opportunities as well?
There are opportunities within the data space. Now, the problem is we have like community, like people within the community are very aggressive with the learning and the growth within the industry. So you find them having like a lot of skill sets, like a lot of skill sets that might not be utilized in maybe a local company because they have resources for maybe analysis using Excel, and then you find the talent they're looking for. They are already building AI agents and doing massive things with AI. So there is opportunities, but then you find that the talent they're looking for has I don't know if it's overland or they're overqualified for those opportunities. So then you
Yeah,
find people like trying to get into big and more advanced companies so that they feel fulfilled. But yes, there are opportunities, but I think Africans are really aggressive with learning and their talent is really wild and skilled. So yeah, they
yeah,
need to be fulfilled in some way. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, and the market hasn't actually kept up with the talent in a
Yeah.
way. Yeah, and then it becomes a little bit of a vicious cycle because then, of course, that talent is needing those opportunities to get experience, right? So for
Yeah.
them to take it to the next level of experience now, if the market's not keeping up. So,
Yeah, you
yeah,
need to either find your own or find your own startup or create your own opportunity to implement that, or and it causes brain drain to the West because they are more advanced in some technologies.
I think that's a really interesting dynamic that we do see playing out. So finally, I'd like to know what is your wish for the African AI community for the new year for 2026? What would success look like for you this year?
Okay, so as Zindi's vision, because I am so behind it, we want more people practicing data science or AI and building. I feel like we have learned enough. We are overskilled at this point. We have read books, we have done courses, we can tutor, we can do all those things, but now it's time to build. It's time to be more practical and develop solutions. And at the end of the day, we know who we are impacting, what we want for our lives. So I think my vision for Africans and the community is build aggressively and practice. Don't only read. Tutorials are nice, but you need to have the hands-on skills to create impact. So I think for me is put in more depth in learning and consistency in building and share your solutions to everyone. No one is limited. You never know who you might pitch to and you get like your solution changing the world. So be more practical, I think, is my end goal for this year. Yeah.
Amazing. Thanks so much for joining me today. It was wonderful to talk to you as usual.
Thank you for having me.